Exomologiste to Kyrio te agathos, alleluia.
Otis ton neona to eleos aftu, alleluia.
Christ receives the Spirit, and we who are baptized into Christ receive the Spirit also. We who put our faith in Christ receive the Spirit also. And it is the Spirit that testifies to the resurrection. It is the Spirit that testifies to Christ's power and lordship and convicts the world of sin. David foresaw the resurrection. He saw that the Holy One of God would not suffer the decay of death, would not suffer Hades, but that he would be risen to life triumphantly over death. And it is in this truth that we Christians have hope. Hope enough to go into the world and to challenge the pimps. Hope enough to go into the world and to challenge the drug pushers. Hope enough to go into the world and to challenge the Islamists. Hope enough to go into the world and challenge the abortionists. It was this hope that allowed Christians to suffer the prison and the execution, the gulags of Stalin and the concentration camps of Hitler and the guillotine of the French Revolution and the lions of the Roman Empire. This is our hope, because by Christ being risen to the right hand of God, all authorities and powers have been laid low. All governments are beneath the feet of Christ. All political ideologies are beneath the feet of Christ. All worship of false gods are beneath the feet of Christ, because he sits at the right hand of the Father.
How do you know that?
How do we know that?
Please.
That Christ is risen from the dead.
That is a serious question.
I'm going to answer your question.
Thank you.
How do we know that Christ was risen from the dead? There's evidences historically that Christ is risen for the dead that point to the resurrection as the only answer. The fact that there was an empty tomb, the fact that Christians started proclaiming the resurrection, the first Christians started to proclaim the resurrection not because someone told them or someone wrote it down, but because they experienced the risen Jesus. The fact that James, who doubted Christ, became a follower of Christ. No, James. The fact that Paul, a persecutor of the church, became a Christian. The fact that Christians venerated Sunday as a special day when there was no Jewish reason to do so. These facts are facts whether you believe in the resurrection or not. And if you do not believe in the resurrection, you must still explain these facts. And if you cannot explain these facts, then the resurrection remains the best answer. Would you like to debate, sir? Would you like to debate? Come in then. Come in. Go on.
For you, isn't it a question of faith? Because like you said, there was a point in time where these things have happened and people witness to these things, correct?
Right.
A few thousand years later, it remains only as a thing of faith, a question of faith rather than proof.
Right, so the brother hasn't listened to the argument.
I have listened to the argument.
So let
You
me
tell me a
express it
temple,
again.
and
Sir,
that
do you
was-
want to have a conversation, or are we just going to shout over one another? Right. So the brother didn't listen to the argument, so I'll explain it again. If you do not believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ, you must explain the following facts. Fact number one, Christians came to venerate Sunday as a holy day when there was no Jewish reason to do so. Fact number two, Paul's conversion to Christianity, even though he was a persecutor of the church. Fact number three, James' leadership of the church when he doubted Jesus' messiahship. Fact number four, why the very first Christians proclaimed the resurrection at all. Because the first Christians proclaimed Christ was risen, not because someone told them, not because someone wrote it down, but because they claimed to experience the risen Jesus. If that was their experience, that needs to be explained as to why. Fact number 5, why did Christianity start in Jerusalem? Why not Antioch? Why not Alexandria? Why not Damascus? Why did Christians come to venerate the cross? This symbol of death. These facts need to be explained if you deny the resurrection. So what is your explanation, sir?
My explanation is, and I don't mean to ridicule you or be disrespectful to your thoughts or beliefs. If I was to write a book about you now,
I'd love some water, guys.
Hold on. If I was to write a book about you right now, saying you can create miracles, yeah, nobody in this period of time will believe me. How do you know 3,000 years from now, one of these books I've written is found, and it doesn't become, and it becomes religion? It can happen. It can happen.
Ladies, you're okay? Right, now notice he has not engaged in the argument at all. The fact of the matter is these points of history, ladies and gentlemen, are evidenced by first century documents, independent documents, ladies and gentlemen. And the claim, ladies and gentlemen, that it is made up and that people came to believe in it centuries later is a claim that he has made with zero evidence. Where is his evidence to his claims? So, are we going to interrupt one another?
Sorry, I apologise.
Yes, do apologise. Wait, let me finish like I let you finish. The fact that Christians came to venerate Sundays as a holy day is testified to by Roman, pagan documents who indicate that Christians venerated Sunday on a special day. So it isn't just Christian sources, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that they proclaimed Christ as God is evidenced by Roman documents. The fact that he was crucified is proclaimed by Roman documents. The way that we do history is we look at the earliest documents we have. We look for independent documents, particularly those written by enemies. And where these things correlate, we establish history. The facts that I've given to the gentleman that he's not able to engage with are facts regardless of whether you believe in the resurrection. So I'll ask you again, evidence your claims that this is just a fiction, believed later, centuries later, by your argument. Where's your evidence?
My evidence is this. It's a fact that Mary was the mother of Jesus. That's a fact. Yeah? It's a fact that Mary was the bloodline of David. That's a fact. It's a fact that Jesus was the King of Jews. That's a fact. That is proven. Okay? When you're talking about the Romans writing about their enemy that he was the Son of God, right? The only reason they've done that is the Roman Empire was beginning to be abolished. So what did they do? They mixed Roman ideology with Christianity and called it the Catholic religion. The Bible was written 100 years after the death of Christ in Greek. Things get lost in translation. So imagine from that period of time to now, look how much lossage has gone on.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we have really got to deal with the ignorance in our culture.
Okay.
There was a number of historical falsities mentioned just then. The idea that the Roman Empire was collapsing in the first century, historically false. In the first century, the Roman Empire was at the height of its power. The fact that he said that the Bible was written 100 years after Jesus, also false. The entire New Testament was written in 90 AD, which is 60 years, ladies and gentlemen, after the time of Christ, not 100 years, and it was written in Greek. This is the problem with people who read a little and think that they know a lot. And that's what we have all too common in our society. People who read a little bit on the internet and think they know great deals of information. But notice, he didn't provide any evidence. He just made one assertion to back up another assertion, and he didn't provide any evidence for either sets of assertions. This is not how you make arguments. Here's the evidence. I hold in my hand first century documents written by first century Christians describing their beliefs and practices, ladies and gentlemen. Their beliefs and practices. And as any historian, right, I'm going to stop talking to you now because you can't control yourself. No, we're done. We're done. You can't control yourself.
So your defeatist way out of it. We're done.
Right, I'm just going to interrupt you now as and when I choose. Right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to interrupt him as and when I choose. He can't argue, so he just interrupts. These are first century documents describing the practices and beliefs of first century Christians. And they described that Christians would meet together on the first day of the week. That is a Sunday. They described that they proclaimed the resurrection. I want him to explain why they wrote those two things down. Explain to me why the first Christians wrote those things down. I'll debate you afterwards, sir. No, explain why did they do that?
Why did they do that?
Yeah, why did they do that?
Obviously, if you got an idea and you want to...
Where did that idea come from?
From the Torah.
No, where in the Torah?
The Old Testament.
Where in the Torah?
The Old Testament.
Right, ladies and gentlemen.
The Jews had the
Sabbath. The Jews had the Sabbath on what day?
The Muslims have got the Friday.
On what day? On what day was the Sabbath?
Sabbath, Sunday.
Wrong. On a Saturday.
Sabbath. Sorry, Sabbath.
You see, he doesn't. This is what happens when ignorant men want to talk beyond their knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. No. Why did Christians honor the Sunday as an important day?
I don't know, you enlighten me.
He does not know. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
He does not know. But yet, 10 minutes ago, he claimed to know. Because he claimed to be able to present evidence as to why, ladies and gentlemen, Christians celebrated the Sunday as a holy day. You can't even follow your own argument, let alone my argument. No. Why did Christians venerate the Sunday as a holy day?
Why?
Go on, tell us. I'll tell you why. Because they believed and experienced that Christ had risen on a Sunday. Now let me ask him this question. Why did the Christians believe that Christ had risen on the Sunday? Go on, tell us why.
Why?
Yes, why?
You can't prove it was a Sunday.
Tell us why.
I can answer your question. Because it's Monday, because it's Tuesday, because it's Wednesday. You're telling me it's Sunday because of something that you believe in, right? That you've been doctorated to believe in.
It says in Scripture that the women went to the tomb on the first day of the week. What was the first day of the week in the Jewish calendar? Sunday.
Right.
So we have on one side first century evidence of early Christian belief that Christ rose on a Sunday. And on your side we have what? Nothing.
We have something.
No, well, go on then, tell us.
Look, listen. I respect your beliefs. I respect your...
No, tell us.
I'll tell you this.
Tell us. What is your argument that it was on any day of the week?
My argument is this.
Go on.
Nothing that you've said so far can be proven.
Do you know what evidence is?
Nothing can be proven.
Do you know what evidence is?
You're going in hearsay.
Do you know what evidence is?
Hearsay in court is admissible evidence.
Rubbish.
Yes,
For
it is.
testimonial evidence, ladies and gentlemen, is admissible in court, ladies and gentlemen.
Hearsay. What your grandfather
Do you know what evidence is? You don't, do you? How do we do history about the Roman world? What do? We read Roman documents. We look at Roman artifacts.
Right.
So when we do history about Romans and we read Roman artifacts and Roman documents, it's history, correct?
To a point.
It is history.
To a point.
It is history. But, ladies and gentlemen, his argument is that when we read Christian documents, we're not dealing with history. Why the double standard, ladies and gentlemen? So why is it history when it's Roman documents about Rome, but it's not history when it's Christian documents about the church?
Because the thing is...
I'll debate you afterwards, sir. Let him finish and then I'll debate you. Do you want to come and debate?
So
Right, I'll come to you next. No, answer my question.
What version of the Bible?
Answer my question. No, you interrupted me. You lost a polite conversation. No, answer the question. What makes Roman Yeah, James, just move your camera. Stop being a nuisance.
Oh, stop being a nuisance, Bob.
You're already being a nuisance, James. Right, ladies and gentlemen. I want to ask all of you because he can't answer the question. He said he can answer it. Good. Here's the question. Why is it when we read Roman documents to learn about Rome, we say we're doing history, but when Christians present Christian documents, suddenly we're not learning about the history of the church? Go on, explain.
The Colosseum, they've left cities, they've left paintings on walls. Where is your Christianity's proof that it's left something behind? Nothing. It's just hearsay.
Apparently, Christians didn't paint the walls
They didn't even improve
of the catacombs. He doesn't know what he's talking about. There is evidence of Christian belief. Before the Council of Nicaea, Christians painted the catacombs. Christians dedicated altars, ladies and gentlemen, to the God Jesus Christ. Christians wrote hymns to Jesus and the Trinity, ladies and gentlemen. And they did all of this before the 4th century, before the acceptance of Christianity by Rome. And they also wrote the New Testament in the 1st century by 90 AD. But this moron is saying to you all that they left no evidence until the 14th, ladies and gentlemen. No evidence. Oh, you are, brother, you're an ignorant man. You are an ignoramus and you know nothing at all. At all, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you don't mind, I want to talk to someone else. Do you want to come in and debate?
I want to ask you a question.
Go on.
Anyway, thank you.
Have a good day.
Why do you never mention what's in the Babylonian Talmud? What does that say about Jesus?
Right, ladies and gentlemen. He says to me, why don't I mention the Babylonian Talmud?
Why?
Here's why. The Babylonian Talmud was written too late to talk realistically about Jesus. The authoritative text of the Christians is the Bible, not the Babylonian Talmud. Ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
What does it say about Jesus?
Do you want to debate? Right. Any other questions? Come in and debate then. Come on. I'm giving you a chance. Tough.